Alright everybody, welcome back to the bench. So today we're going to go over the review for the Promethean LP-1. I did borrow this optic from a friend. His name is Kalashnikov on Instagram. I will post up his thing right now. This optic is borrowed. I'm not going to go ahead and state that Promethean sent this out, or Lead and Steel, I'm sorry. They did not send this out to me. Nobody gave me anything for this review. I'm just going to go ahead and say I do have to return this optic to my buddy who let me borrow it. I'm not going to go ahead and talk too much about the drama. We'll discuss that a little bit later in the video. And I'm really excited because I do like this optic. Is this an EOTech killer? Absolutely not. We're going to discuss that also in the future, and then a couple of pros and cons about this optic. It's just one of those things. But first of all, before we get into this entire review, huge shout out to Brownells. Brownells is an amazing company. They send out product to me and they do a whole bunch of stuff. They did not send out the Promethean LP-1. This was, of course, borrowed by somebody. But Brownells is one of the companies that I go through a lot to do a lot of reviews with, and they are huge supporters of the channel. So huge thank you to them. Please go ahead and I will have stuff in the comments down below if you guys would like to do all that other fun stuff and shop through them. I have discount codes and a lot of other things that I'll put down there for you guys also. Just remember to check those comments. Do all that other fun stuff. I've been posting a lot of shorts as of recently that do include this optic, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. So huge shout out to Brownells. Use code BOP10 over there and it'll save you some moolah. And also I've been running this on my Brownells BRN180 and 13.9, and I don't know if it's necessarily the gun or the optic that made me really fall in love with that gun, but I've been having a whole lot of fun with it. So let's go ahead and get into the Promethean LP-1. All right, so coming out of the box here, this is kind of how it is. It's like that Apple iPhone type deal where you have to kind of wait for the box to kind of separate. It just gives you that anticipation. It does tell you that the company did go ahead and at least put a little bit of thought into it, whether ordering that or doing all that. Now, when you open up the optic, you're going to get your optic here. You're going to get your battery, you're going to get a lens cloth, and you're going to get some sort of adjustment tool. I don't have the adjustment tool. It didn't come in the box, but then again, this is a borrowed optic, so I'm not going to go ahead and be upset about that. I do know that I asked Kalashnikov, and he said that it does have the adjustment tool. He just didn't put it back in the box. So there you go. I do not know off the top of my head. I will actually put in right now what the windage and elevation clicks are. You should see that popping up on your screen right now. I just don't know off the top of my head. And then it comes with a empty CR123 here. This is how I got it. I got it with the battery installed. I don't know if that's how you're going to get it. But what I will tell you is if you do get this optic, take a little bit of time when you open this up, put a little bit of dielectric grease on those threads. That will definitely help smooth this out, and make sure to have keep that water tightness, because these threads are very coarse. They have a lot of burrs on them and they're not very fun. All right, so once you've gotten your really cheap Tenergy lithium propel cell battery out of here. Now this is a lithium cell. I do believe that this lithium cells are what are going to give you that proclaimed 30,000 hours of battery life. I have not at all changed this battery. This is the battery that was supplied with the optic, so I don't know if you're going to get a different one in there or if this is just an Amazon special that my buddy had put in the optic when he got it. I don't know. I borrowed this optic from somebody else. I do not own this optic. I did not get this from Promethean. Now, I did absolutely no drop testing on this optic, but if you look right here on this hood, this was actually dropped by the owner itself. The owner did take this and drop this. This hood right here is 6061 aluminum. The entire rest of the optic is 7075. 7075 aluminum is it's a lot harder. It's a higher grade of aluminum. Most people call it aircraft grade, even though that's a specific version of 7075. A lot of people always just say 7075 is aircraft grade. You have to have aircraft grade 7075, not just 7075. There's two differences there. If you're a metallurgist, you can chime down in the comments below. That's up to you. Who knows? I even could be wrong, and I honestly don't care. When it comes to the hood being different than the rest of the body, I don't necessarily get the crumple zone. I don't love the optic look itself, and I'll go into that here in just a little bit more detail. But there's a couple cool things you can have with this optic. You can change the hood color. Say you damage this hood, or you just want a second hood, or you want a backup hood. They have multiple color options for these crumple zone hoods now, so you can go over there and do that. Also, this is the non-Aurora Wake version. So in the non-Aurora Wake, you don't get to turn off the circle and leave the dot on all the time. Now, how I did have this before I took the battery out is I just ran this on the dot. I did not necessarily love the circle dot. I don't love circle dots, hence why I only have one EOTech and multiple aim points. I love the dot. The dot is just the way for me, and I know that. I know a lot of people aren't that way. They love the donut of death. Completely understandable. when it comes to the pros of the Promethean LP-1, it is very durable from what I can tell. It has fallen over a couple of times on its hood. It did take a good smashing up top from the actual owner. Now, the owner did say I could kind of do whatever I wanted with this optic, but I am not going to go ahead and beat this optic. Now, one of the bad points about this optic is it does not come with a lifetime warranty. It comes with a lifetime warranty against product defects, but it is not the Vortex style warranty that we are used to with a good amount of optics companies, not a lot. Even Holosun has been kind of known to be like, if you kind of destroy one of their optics, they'll replace it. Now, Holosun did take one of my optics that I destroyed with a safe door, and on accident, I was wearing it. But they took that optic and they did replace that optic free of charge for me. So there are many good things out there, and I think Promethean, who knows, they might do that for you too. Again, with the 6061 crumple zone hood, I think it's kind of stupid. Make it out of 7075. I believe that has to do with like minimizing the amount of shock that the optic itself takes, but I think you shouldn't be necessarily worried about shock if your circuits and everything are kind of potted. I realize your emitter may not be, or maybe your emitter may not be fully potted, because that would be very difficult to do and very expensive. But I don't necessarily understand that. I would like to see the hood be a higher grade aluminum, specifically because it's one of those things where it needs to have a better hood. All right, so with the Promethean LP-1 and the EOTech, they take up about the same amount of rail space. I mean, they are almost identical. The EOTech is about an ounce or just over an ounce lighter than this. My hands are so calibrated. No, I'm just kidding. I put these on a scale earlier, and this one was lighter than this one. Both of these have batteries in them. As you can tell, they are both on. They both have batteries, and that's how I put them on the scale. Here's a couple things I will say. This is not this. This is a holographic weapon sight. This is a red dot. If you have an astigmatism, this red dot will not work for you the way an EOTech works for you. An EOTech has this more crispy style dot right in there. Now, it does look a little sandy. That is just kind of how they all look. But as you can tell, the Promethean has a cleaner dot than the EOTech. But the EOTech has no forward emitting laser. No forward emitting laser. It projects itself onto the glass, hence holographic weapon sight. That is what makes this holographic. This is a red dot. It has a forward emitting laser, as you can tell right here. You can see right in there. You see that? That is its forward emitting laser. That's how it does that. It uses a specific coating on the glass to project that laser and make what looks like a hologram in there. But that is a projected image, okay? So that is the two main differences between this. One of the things I've seen a lot of is, wow, a lot of people have said that this is going to kill the EOTech. Absolutely not. The EOTech has a specific set of different things. Now, I will tell you right now, I do not love both of these optics. This one is always on, but it has diminished battery life. I do not love the EOTech specifically because I cannot put it always on. The EOTech is 4 or 8 hours only, and you have to continue to push the button in order to keep it on for hours and hours and hours. I will say I've had this for a long time, and I've used the same exact battery, always in, no problem. With this, I've had this for just about a month now, or just over a month. I've been using it. It's been really good. Haven't had to change the battery. I have left this optic on the entire time. I have not taken it off, other than when I put it in the box to kind of show you guys how it comes out of the box. I do like this optic. I do. I really do. But the crumple zone hood, and I will tell you guys, this gives us a ton of nostalgia from back in the day, whereas this gives us no nostalgia. Nostalgia does play a pretty big factor in this, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. They're going to be, I love my Promethean. That's understood. That's wonderful. I like the Promethean too. What I can't tell you is that this optic does not look attractive whatsoever. Now again, form over function, or I'm sorry, function over form. Totally get that. I do not like ugly things. I do like things that look better, and this triggers the nostalgia button inside of me. Back to 2008, 2010, where you can go and you can watch those special operators on YouTube. Post up with their EOTech XPSs and all the other fun stuff, and do night raids on Osama bin Laden. Whereas with this, this is not something that is ever going to give me that, because this has never been in anything significant, nor will it probably ever be, with kind of how it's made and all the other fun stuff. Now, when it becomes 100% made in the US, that may change the story. It may be a better optic. They are coming out with newer versions. They do have the Aurora Wake, where the you can leave this always on and the circle dies down, and then you have the red dot in there at all times. But this is just one of those where it is what it is. This one does have 3 separate reticle options, as you can tell right here. It has the dot, it has the circle, and it has the circle dot. Now, as I said, I primarily ran this in the dot configuration. I do like this optic in the dot configuration. The Donut of Death reticle is the same problem that I have with the EOTech, where it is too busy and annoying. That is just how I feel about that. I know a lot of people will not care how they'll be like, oh, this guy's awful and he doesn't like amazing things. You can be really fast and accurate with a red dot, especially at a distance, as long as you know how to do it. You know your holds, you know where you're zeroed at, you know all the fun stuff. I particularly also like my optics at the 193 height, and there are not a lot of options for 193 height with the EOTech or this guy right here. You usually have to run the 2.26 height optics, and I'm just not as big of a fan as that as I am the 193. I know where the 193 hits at 300. I know where the 193 hits at 200. I know where it hits at 100 when I zero it at 36 yards. With these, it was a little bit different. At 300 yards, I was still able to make consistent hits, no problem, especially zeroing at 36 yards. That is just how it was. But with this guy, it was the same way when I'm not running it on the 2.26 mount. But when I'm running on the 2.26 mount, I have to remember that my holds are very different. I do like these optics though with the flip to center magnifier, which we will talk about in the future at some point. But that is just one of those things that I didn't necessarily run with this optic all but once, and I didn't even bother to get the footage because it's not a way I was going to run this optic, and I don't recommend with that optic. I like the lower 1/3. I like how that is, but you can run however you want. With the Promethean, another bad thing about this optic is the god-awful mount here. I don't love this mount. I will say, in comparison to a lot of other optics that have QD mounts, this is probably one of the more annoying ones I've seen. If you get it too tight, you can't tighten it down. One click away and you're kind of too loose, and you got to finagle it. I've really had to jam this thing on some 1913 rails or Picatinny rails or whatever you want to call them, and then have this and then take my wrench and push down to get this to snap in, because if I went one loose, the optic was very loose. If I went one tighter, it was so difficult to get on. I just don't like the adjustments just feel very, very coarse. That could just be me, I know, but it is what it is. I don't love the mount. I wish they would have gone with a different mount or an easier way to kind of tighten it down. Again, I'm not going to go ahead and disparage it completely. It's very cheap optic. I think it's $350. So there we go. This is a low serial number optic. Again, this optic was given to the person I'm reviewing this by, so this could very well be a handpick optic. I'm not going to go ahead and state that it might not be. It has been very good. It does work. It's very durable from everything I can tell, and I've had no issues. Now, going in from target to target transitions and all the other fun stuff, I've noticed absolutely nothing with refresh rate on this optic. Absolutely nothing. There is no refresh rate. You can turn the optic up or down, and you don't get refresh rate. You see, I don't see it with my naked eye. I have no problems going from target to target transitions. There was no issue. A lot of people have said, you drop it, you do all that stuff. This has taken a pretty big impact to the hood, and the refresh rate was not affected, obviously. Again, as I said, I don't know off the top of my head the adjustment clicks for windage and elevation. I believe they're 1/4 or half MOA. I could be wrong, but I will go ahead and put those up, or I have already put those up, so you will know more than me. This optic does have that 2 MOA dot in the center and that 65 MOA circle on the outside, just like the EOTech. It could be 68, who knows? But it's very clear as long as you don't have an astigmatism. One of my friends has an astigmatism, and he said it is kind of hard to look through this optic in the circle dot mode, considering that everything kind of blurs together. I do not have an astigmatism, or my astigmatism is extremely slight. I just don't have that problem. That is just how that is. A lot of people have astigmatisms and they don't know it until they look at a red dot and they're like, this thing looks kind of funny. And well, that means you have an astigmatism. I'm sorry, go talk to your eye doctor. They can get you lenses that will correct that, no problem. Highly recommend you do. But yeah, overall, my general impressions of this optic is I do recommend it. If you have an EOTech, do I recommend you go out and replace your EOTech with this? No, the EOTech has a specific set of circumstances where you're going to need it or want it, or however you want to deal with it. Say you're running night vision. I do believe that this does have extremely clear and crystal clear glass, and I know it does perform well from everybody I've seen. It performed well under night vision, but the EOTech will always be better. I don't know how to state that any different. That is just how the EOTech performs, and it does perform. It outperforms Aimpoint, and I am an Aimpoint fanboy. I really am. I am an Aimpoint fanboy, and I do know that nothing beats an EXPS3 as return to night vision performance. I have shot at least 800 to 1,000 rounds with this optic on my rifle. I've loved every second of it. Haven't looked back, and I don't dislike it. The only thing my two biggest cons I can say about this are social media drama. It is what made me not want to review this optic in the first place. I do not want to take part in the social media drama. I don't care about the social media drama. I don't care what the owner said. I don't care what Focus Trip said. Focus Trip is a local YouTuber here on YouTube. I don't care. What goes on between those two, I have no problem with. It does not concern me. It does not affect me. I am not here nor there. Consider me Switzerland. I don't care. Don't bother me. Don't piss in my Cheerios, and I won't piss in yours. All right? I'm telling you my personal experience with this optic. I have absolutely no ties to the owner of this company. The owner of this company I think his company has ignored a couple of emails of mine that I have requested to review some of their products, and they have flat out ignored me. So here we go. I do not have any sort of stake in this. I'm going to go ahead and be a little bit blunt about this optic. It looks hideous. I hate the way this thing looks. It looks it's so ugly. I couldn't even tell you. There is zero nostalgia. There's zero love for this optic. If somebody gave me really... between this and a Holosun, there are a lot of Holosuns out there that I hate. The 510C, they just look hideous. They're hideous. This is just like the 510C. It is an ugly optic. I don't like it. Again, a lot of people will be like, well, it functions and it doesn't have the form. Okay, that's great. At least make it look a little prettier. This thing is, you didn't even bother to dress up to take it to prom. Like it literally is the ugliest optic I've ever seen. If that's its only con, then that's its only con. Again, I do not like the mount on here, and I do not like how it looks. There is a QR code at the bottom of this thing. This is for your user's manual. I think this is another big con. I work in information technology. I do a lot of that. I don't necessarily appreciate having to scan a QR code at the bottom of here and then have your tracking cookies track everything that I do online. Now, again, you can use servers like DuckDuckGo and services like DuckDuckGo and a lot of other things like that. But I just think the QR code at the bottom is kind of ridiculous. You can be like, oh, safe paper, blah, blah, blah. Look, I don't care about the trees. All right. I don't want people literally searching through all of my private information that I use a VPN and all the other stuff to kind of avoid. It just annoys me that you have to put a QR code at the bottom. Print out off a couple sheets of paper and do all this so I don't have to go through and look at this online, especially when I'm out in the desert or when I'm out in the forest shooting things and I have zero cell service or very minimal. I don't want to have to scan the bottom QR code of my freaking optic and print off a set of instructions on how to, how many clicks I should need at 100 yards for whatever. That's just not one of the things I have, and those are my three cons for this optic. Put a freaking user's manual in the box, make this optic look a little prettier, hopefully with this new version that Promethean or LP-1, Lead and Steel, there we go. Lead and Steel is coming out with. It will be a better optic and it will look better, but this thing is absolutely hideous and it looks ugly. At least with the EOTech, you have that nostalgia that, it is kind of an ugly optic, but you have that nostalgia and it looks awesome. With this thing, there is no nostalgia. It just looks hideous. Sorry, I'm beating a dead elephant there, but it's just one of those things that's what really irks me about this optic is it just looks ugly, and it makes your guns look ugly. Like it really does. Like I don't know. Maybe if you colored the hood and you got one of those optional hoods there. Also, for a nominal fee, you can upgrade one of these to the Aurora Wake. So if you really want an ugly optic that performs just a little bit better, you're more than welcome to go do that. I do give this optic 2 thumbs up. I like it. Would I buy one? The only reason why I wouldn't is because I don't like the way it looks, but if I needed an optic tomorrow, this is definitely a solid option, especially in the Aurora Wake one that you can get. And again, the warranty is kind of lackluster for a company that's starting up and offered really cheap stuff. I completely get it. I'm not going to go ahead and go through that. I don't even own a company, so how am I supposed to sit here and tell a company how to run a company? I can't do that. Huge shout out to Kalashnikov and Cothron Trust for letting me mess with their optic for a little bit. I hope that I didn't upset you guys too much with my harsh words about some of this stuff, but also fantastic words, because I can't say really anything other than the mount and how ugly it looks, and the crumple zone hood just not being my favorite. Everything else about this optic is very good. It works really well, super easy to zero, and it's kind of a beast of an optic, but it is kind of heavy too, so that's another con, is the weight. I hope you guys enjoyed my review. If you have any more questions, please post them down below. As always, thank you to Brownells. Please like, comment, share, and do all the other fun stuff. Subscribe, do whatever. I hope you guys liked my review and going through everything. But yeah, post all that down below. And as always, be a hoodlum. See, I hate it. I'm too slow with that. Beep. Would help if I had another mag. Beep. God damn it, another one!